Welcome to part 2 of testing your skills. Now that we have the base part completed, what we work on next is really up to the user. Some people may choose to work on this feature, while other people may choose to work on this cutout and the 2 holes. Myself, I see this radius as a major part of this angle bracket. I would probably work on this radius along with the slotted feature, counter bore, and through hole next. That way all of these features are out of the way. Then we'll work on this cutout along with the 2 holes and then finish the model with this feature here. So let's do that. What I want you to do is pause the video in a few seconds, but first let's talk about these features. This radius here is a radius of 32, and that radius is tangent to this face and this face. Then we have a slotted feature. The slotted feature is 22 millimeters wide and it's centered. That's why we have a dimension of 11. And the slotted feature is 6 millimeters deep. Last, I want you to create the counter bore, which is this radius here, and the through hole. And here's the note for it. The through hole is diameter A. If we go down to our note, A equals diameter 19. So this is our diameter 19 that you see here. Then we have a counter bore diameter of 32, and that counter bore is 9 deep. This is supposed to be the depth symbol, so it's 9 deep. So notice the counter bore is 9 deep from this top face, where the slotted feature is only 6 deep. So do those features in that order: the radius, the slotted feature, and then finish with the counter bore and through hole. So pause the video, do those features, and then return, and I'll do the same. Okay, now that you have those features added, let me do the same. I am going to start with this large radius of 32. While there's a couple different ways you can place that radius in your part, the easiest method is probably using the fillet command. So I'll select fillet, and under the fillet type, I am going to select full round fillet. When I do that, I see 3 windows. These 3 windows represent the 3 faces for the fillet. I'll select this face first. Notice that window populates. I'll then activate the second window. Select this face next. And then activate the third window and select this face last. And there you see a preview of the full round fillet. That looks good. I'll accept it. That takes care of the first feature. Now let's add the slotted feature. I am going to go into the extruded cut feature, select the top face, zoom in on that top face. Now there's many different ways you can create this sketch. I am simply going to go to the line command, and I'm going to draw a line straight up and make it coincident to the arc. I'll then create a second line and do the same. Next, I'll select Convert Entities, and then pick the arc and this edge here. I'll convert those 2 entities, and then trim away the portions I do not want. I'll smart dimension the sketch. This distance here should be 22 according to the drawing, and it should be centered. So this value here should be 11. Our sketch is fully defined. Now we are going to close out of the sketch, roll the model, and we want to cut into that top surface a depth of 6. Property Manager already displays 6, arrows pointing in the correct direction, so I'll select the green check mark. That completes our second feature. Now let's add the through hole and counter bore. We can do that in 2 cut extrude features, or we can do it in 1 feature by using the hole wizard. I am going to activate the hole wizard, and this is going to require a legacy hole. Under the type, I'll select counterboard. Notice we see a preview of the graphic, and then right below it, we have the values. Now to change these values, we simply double click. I want the diameter to be 19. Counterbore needs to be 32, and the counterbore depth is 9. However, the depth of the through hole, I'm going to specify that with the end condition. It normally defaults to through all, I'm going to change it to up to surface. And then I'll select the bottom surface of this inclined face. I'll then select the position tab. And because I specified a counterbore depth, and that depth is from this top face, I want to make sure I select one of these two top faces. So I'll place it, and then I need to add a relation. I'll hold down the control key, I'll select the center point, and then the arc, and then apply a concentric relation. I'll close out of the property manager, close out of the hole wizard, and the counterbore and through hole is added. Okay, that wraps up those features. Next, let's add this cutout here. Now this is somewhat hard to see. What we have here is a cutout which is 42 millimeters wide. So take a look and make sure you see the dimensions for that cutout. In fact, we can zoom in on this. Notice the 42 is to these outside points here and here. The cutout is 6 millimeters deep. And notice we have an angle 2 times 30 degrees. But if you look real close, that 30 degrees is not from this line here. It's from a line running in this direction. So just be aware of that. So pause the video and add that feature. Okay, now it's my turn. I'm going to select Cut Extrude. I'll select the top face, zoom in on that top face, and then create the basic shape. Okay, let's add some smart dimensions. I'll begin by adding the angle dimensions, 30 degrees, 30 degrees. This length here is 42, and the depth we are looking at 6. Notice the sketch is not fully defined, and that's because we have not centered this profile. A couple ways we can do it. We can add a 21 dimension from this point to the origin, or we can simply right mouse click on the line, select midpoint, then select the origin, and make them coincident to one another. Now the sketch is fully defined. When we roll the model and close out of the sketch and set our end condition to through all, and then close out of the Cut Extrude, you can see we added that feature with little work. Now before we conclude this part 2, let's add these 2 holes here. These 2 holes are 28 millimeters from this face here, which is the slotted face. So this face here, down 28, and then 29 millimeters from center to center. The 2 hole sizes are a diameter 13. So once again, pause the video, add those 2 features, and then return, and I'll step through it myself. Okay, now it's my turn. I am going to select Extrude Cut. I'll then select this face here. Draw a couple circles on the part. We will apply the dimensions. This is 28. And this one here from center to center is 29. The hole size is 13. And then I'll apply an equal relation between the 2 holes. Now we're ready to extrude cut them. And let's do it up to surface. And we'll select this surface here. Close out of the Cut Extrude, place it back in an isometric, and that completes those 2 features. Now let's end this part 2 of testing your skills. When we come back in part 3, we will add this feature here.